tonight, guys. This is our Power Within. This call is geared towards the 5 keys to wealth. I'm going to add a sixth one, which is social, but we got financial, spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional wealth, and really being able to dissect all those areas. What's up, Zoom user? I don't have a name. I always see that Zoom user though. Just want to be able to dissect each area of those specific wealth principles. But tonight, I just want to ask a couple of questions on tonight. The first thing I want to ask you guys, excuse me. Well, not really ask. Oh, what's up, Chris? Superstar. I wanted to let you guys know, well, just kind of grasp a level of awareness real quick when it comes to our perspectives. The first thing I want us to focus on is what your mindset is first. What's your instinctive mindset? So a lot of people are trained to focus on the probability of not getting what they want. And I want to make sure we have the awareness on tonight to acknowledge, do we have that? Is that our attention span? Is that where our focus is going? And that's most people. We focus on why we can't acquire things, why we cannot obtain things. And that's derived a lot of times from our youth and from our environments. So the first question you want to ask yourself is, are you the type of person who focuses on the probability of you not getting what you want? And I tell people all the time, when you really study belief and you study your faith, when you study your mindset and understanding your belief system, you'll understand that most people are focusing on why they can't achieve things instead of accepting that it's already theirs. And that little gap between knowing it's yours and actually believing it is where most people struggle, because it's difference between believing something and actually having a level of belief and believing in something. My sister hit me up the other day and she was like, how do you just believe? Like, how did you get there? And then for me, my level of faith really derived from my experiences, just God opening doors, blessing me in situations where I'm like, bro, it couldn't have been nobody but a supernatural power. So my experiences, this is way before, I've always been in the church and all that kind of stuff, but my personal experiences is what has allowed me to maintain my faith, sustain it, and never forget it. I did a call a while back about don't forget about God when things are going well. And when you need some help, that's when you dial 911, right? Your spiritual 911. So you always have to remember where you're coming from and make sure that you're not focused on why you can't get something. You have to begin to get to the root of that thought, eliminate that thought, and plant a new seed. All right. The next thing you have to understand is, do you know what not to focus on? I'm very, very good at that. I think that's one of my strengths, is that, like, right now this is my second day doing this stuff. And I'm like, I got to get it done, because I paused studying my course. So I got to get this out of the way and I'm gonna come back right to it. So do you have the level of focus? Meaning, can somebody just call you and you pick up the phone and you're on the phone for 10, 20, 30 minutes at a time? A lot of times people are having conversations with people that you're having an hour-long conversation with somebody that should be a 5-minute conversation. So you also have to be sure, are they the right person for your space, for your energy? For me, I've set up entirely new environment. I'm not the person. I'm still silly. I'm still funny. Like, I have those traits about me, but you have to really think about what you've cultivated. For me, I've personally cultivated an area, a space of growth and positivity and peace. And the minute something is not within that vibration, is very, very loud, and I can recognize it really, really quickly. So my question for you guys on tonight is, have you established a space for success? Have you established a mentality for success? Have you established an emotional state for success and being able to sustain it? Do you allow situations, adversity, and people just to penetrate your space, and without actually, I'm going to use the word vetting. So for instance, if you guys want to get a service done on your car and a friend recommends them or something like that, you're going to ask for recommendations, meaning you want to go with somebody that you trust. You want to vet that service. You want to vet that product. So you got to use the same thing when it comes to people, right? You can't just let anybody haul up in your space all willy-nilly. All right. So you have to make sure that you understand what not to focus on and what also has to have permission to be in your space. Your environment is very, very important. So for instance, I am a millionaire all over the place. My nephew calls me a millionaire, and I am a millionaire. But the thing is, it takes for you to live in that moment to say, okay, I'm a millionaire before it actually happens, or I'm physically fit. or I'm emotionally stable. Like you got to go ahead and start grabbing into that environment. So I want you guys to practice at home or whenever you get a chance to set up your success environment. Now, I'm not just talking about printing images and having your affirmations. I'm talking about really, I want you to dwell on this answer, this question for yourself. If you were to receive what you wanted today, what is the first thing you're going to go do after you've achieved that love, that goal, or that desire? What's the first thing you're going to go do? Or what's that level of feeling you're going to have when you achieve it? And I want you to really meditate on that space. I want you to just get away from people, shut yourself off, and really go into your imagination. I want you to, just like you go to Universal Studios or you can go into the metaverse, I want you to put your imagination goggles on, and I want you to say, maybe you got to write it on paper first. I want you to think about the smell of the environment. It's just like I always use a restaurant for an example. Say somebody cash app you $500 a day, and maybe we say we're going to treat you to a 5-star course. Where is that place? What is the atmosphere? What is the attire? What does it smell like? What type of car did you Uber Black? Did you get dropped off? Like, I want you to really cultivate that experience. And when you're cultivating that experience, I want you to begin to actually physically put yourself there. The difference between having a desire and really meditating on it is that your meditations really comes with your senses. All right. So what people don't realize is that they actually do it all the time. All right. So I'm gonna give you an example. A lot of people use it on the side of fear. They will literally, so if you can cultivate you can cultivate your emotions for something that you're fearful. Why can't you cultivate your emotions for something that you're faithful towards, right? So for instance, there's somebody who's scared to ride on the airplane. They start sweating and get themselves, they dang near panicking because they have completely given themselves this full-blown image, this imagery, and they put themselves in that space. And then they begin to feel those emotions. Guys, it is a real thing, right? Some people are nervous before they go on stage. There are different things that you can put yourself in. You may be nervous before you take a test. Remember, you're creating these emotions based off of your thoughts. All right, hope y'all with me. You're creating these emotions. Your senses are being aroused simply based off of your thoughts. You're not even physically in that place yet. So imagine using that same power for something that you desire. You got to cultivate your environment. You got to cultivate your space. And outside of the imagination in the meditation realm, I want you to make sure you're cultivating that every single day. Analyze your relationships. Do people love on you? Do people encourage you? Do people, congratulate you and really speak life into your desires and your goals? Or are they negative? Like, I got a couple of people right now in my life where I'm just like, I can't even spend time with people as much as I used to because I am so much more, my pieces, it's just through the roof. And then I'm just very aware of the type of conversations I like to have. And then I'm very, very particular about type of relationships. So those are things you guys want to be mindful of. Everybody, you want to make an impact, but not everybody gets access on the way to your journey. All right. Through your journey, on the way to your journey, while you're on your journey, because you have to understand that you've cultivated this space. And when I say space, I'm not talking about just a physical environment. You mentally put yourself in position of success, of successful thinking, successful for pursuit. All right. So do you know what not to focus on? And so those things play a huge role. So you're not easily pulled away. You're not easily distracted. Do you plan your day? Right. So I'm learning. I'm very a very, very obsessed, like day-to-day person. Like I need to know what I'm doing at time blocks. Like my family joke about it all the time because they're like, let me tell you 2 weeks in advance because you always got to have a plan. They joke about it, but it's real because I'm very, very mindful of time. So you have to be mindful throughout the day. If you work a 9 to 5, cool. 9 to 5, I'm at my job. But the minute you get off work, you have to have this courage to say, I'm going to show up for my goals, show up for my dreams, whether that's you learning to read a new book, whether that's you learning, studying a new skill set. Maybe you're working on forgiving somebody, building new relationships, learning, getting involved in different curricular activities. At the end of the day, you have to make that sacrifice and you have to have the courage to step up and stay focused on it every single day. But the question I have for you is, who is going to distract you from your goals and your dreams? All right. What excuses will you cultivate? What things will you make? What lies will you tell yourself? I think 2 weeks ago, the call was, do you lie? Right. Are you a liar? Meaning that we need to start being more honest with ourselves. All right. We have to be mindful of the, excuse me. Okay, yeah. We have to be mindful of what we have, but we also have to be mindful of what has us. Okay. Be mindful of what you have, but also be mindful of what has you. You really want to separate yourself from people for like a couple of days and break your life down. Really analyze it. And if you don't feel like you have the awareness or the knowledge to really discern that, then reach out for help and assistance. But I tell people all the time, all you really got to do, we all have goals, right? And some people, even if they don't act on their goals, they still have a goal. Okay. And with the 5 keys to wealth, I really tell people there's 6 keys, those 6 areas of your life that you really want to focus on. You got to have a goal in one of those areas of your life, right? And in pursuit of those goals, you have to be able to discern, what's the plan of action, what's resources do you need, what mentorships, what relationships do you need to cultivate to help you get towards those goals, right? So as you're in pursuit towards those goals, are you also mindful of what you need to let go to achieve those goals? All right. For instance, be mindful of what you have, but also be mindful of what has you. Procrastination may have you, laziness, disobedience, limiting thinking, always having excuses, or surrounding yourself around the wrong type of environment. And you may have people that you've known for a long time, but this is not the season for you to spend so much time with them. All right. So you have to know when it's okay to pull back a little bit to get things done. All right. So like for now, I'm locked in here probably for the next 2 to 3 weeks, knocking this stuff out. And then I'm locked in again for probably another 3 to 6 months. And I am locked in because I have a goal. So my question for you all on tonight, do y'all got some goals on the call tonight? Yes or no in the chat box. 1 for yes, 2 for no, 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do y'all got some goals? Do y'all got some goals? All right. Understand that pursuit of your goals and you having that level of belief, peace is not the absence of conflict. All right. Peace is not the absence of conflict. So as you begin to create your environment, as you begin to separate yourself away from people who will not put you in position to get you where you need to go, and people, places, or things that don't encourage you, that don't speak life into you, you have to understand, even as you live, I'm gonna give y'all a prime example of today. Even as you reach a level of peace, that does not separate you, or does not mean the absence of conflict. All right. I'm gonna always talk about the book of James. It's one of my favorite books of the Bible. And it literally states to always welcome joy, because joy creates patience. And patience is the ability to accept and tolerate suffering, trouble, or delay without being angry or upset. And so he's literally telling you, welcome adversity. Like, literally get into a perspective of, I know I'm just leaving this desert experience. Excuse me. I'm just leaving this desert experience, but I also know I'm headed to another one. I don't know when, but I am prepared to get through this another experience, right? And you cannot forget that God is always with you. Like, people go through all these trials and adversities and they do it alone. And if you're not studying behind the scenes, if you're not reading the books, listening to the audios, then guess what? You're not building up your armor when it's time for you to face the next level of adversity. And so that's why so many people become broken and disturbed and discouraged, because they weren't they weren't even practicing to experience adversity. That's a different perspective. You got to stay practicing your growth and stay practicing to become a better person so you can be prepared for the adversity, right? But yeah, peace is not the absence of conflict. All right. So as you begin to grow, one thing I noticed about the disciples is that when they were with Jesus, they were either always hiding or they were always calling for help. Like, they were hiding or calling for help as a disciple. But when he left and the Holy Spirit began to dwell within them, they were no longer hiding. They became evangelists. They became bold. And so my question for you on tonight is, when will you become bold on your pursuit and your journey? When you're not hiding, or you're not bringing excuses on the forefront of where you want to go, but now you become bold. You become an evangelist for what the things you want to achieve and you want to acquire in this life. Please, 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 please. It is so simple to get what you want. It blows my mind how easy it is to get the things that you desire. But it's also very unfortunate when I see people who have all this potential and they just like love laziness and content. Like, I'm like, I hate it for them. I wish I can give them my drive, but some people have truly become complacent. Now, I spoke about just a second ago about peace is not the absence of conflict. Well, I just had somebody, so we have a generational wealth community Telegram chat. All right. So it's completely for growth. It's not no outside companies. It's nothing like that. It's just a group of people who we're just focusing on growing our minds, our body, and our spirit. That's all it is. And so somebody came into the chat yesterday and he just started cursing and doing all kinds of saying all kinds of crazy negative stuff in the chat. And I think this was going on around like 1 o'clock in the morning. And so anyway, some of the members reached out to me. I was knocked out, but they reached out to me that morning. And I was like, what's going on? So I saw like 39 messages. I'm like, whoa, what's happening? And so anyway, long story short, the guy was like bashing people, he was bashing companies. He was just very, very toxic. And so all I did was kind of laugh. I was like, man, I haven't seen this level of ignorance in a long time. So I deleted the comments, removed them, etc. But I actually reached out to him. And I basically was stating, listen, if you need some help, if you need some growth, you need some leadership, blah, 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 you know, how you were moving was very unprofessional and very disrespectful. I admire your drive. I admire your willing to succeed, but you don't have to, you know, speak negative or say this, that, and the other. And, you know, it kind of went over. I don't really say that it went over his head, what I said. But the only thing he replied back was, God is not real and I don't need counseling. And everything everybody do is a scam. And so I said, well, and he was talking about a specific company. I said, well, if they are a scam, why do you talk about them so much? And he had said nothing else yet, because it's like, he wanted to stir up conflict. He wanted to stir up negativity. And I don't know his upbringing. I'm not a person to get defensive on the first move. I've always been like that. I like to really study people and observe people. And so, but you know, the team and the family, they was ready to rock and roll and protect the community. And I'm grateful for everybody in GW that did that. But I realized my level of growth in that moment, because we could all just kind of go back and forth, right? But I really wanted to know, like, what's going on? Because people ain't just walking around here being evil for no reason. So, you know, it's going to take a while. If he does open up, great. If he doesn't, he's going to continue to be ignorant. But I definitely wanted to help him. You know, I really wanted to help him. And that's another thing you guys got to understand as you're headed to your goals. There's going to be your tests. There's going to be trials. There's going to be people that's going to try to intervene and test you or try to disrupt your peace. And that was a moment where I usually be like, I'm not even going to respond. But for some reason, that was a part of me like, let me see what's up with this dude, because it was just, he went from 0 to 100 real quick. And it was late in the morning and we just didn't know what was going on. But I want you guys to understand, those are things you're going to have a conversation with yourself, especially those who want to be leaders and you got your own businesses going on. Maybe you don't want to reach out to him and check on them, but there would be a space where you will have to lead other people. There's somebody watching your story. There's somebody living through you right now. And if you become complacent, if you give up, if you quit, and if you stop, then guess what? They're not going to believe anymore. Now, you don't want to have to carry that, but I need you guys to really understand that it's so many stories. You could take the Bible, you could take so many biographies, that somebody's story inspired you. Yes or no in the chat box. You've seen somebody's story that inspired you. You've seen somebody's perseverance that inspired you. You've seen people speak about their testimonials, their trials and tribulations, their adversity, and it inspired you. So please understand today, as you pursue your journey, you have to be mindful of what not to focus on and be mindful of what has you, because somebody needs you so that they can continue to step towards their next goal and their desires and achieving every single thing that they want for themselves. So do you really want to be an example? Do you want to be another chapter in the book? Do you want to be a story that we can admire, so a story that we could tell so that we can begin to live through you? Yes or no in the chat box. All right. Because ultimately, guys, you don't have to sit here and talk about $1 million dreams for you to have an impact on somebody's life. Right. You literally just have to continue to go. People watch me all the time with trading. There's people who don't even follow me that study my trading. And I used to push generational wealth really, really heavy, but I wanted to separate it from the trading community because that's not what it is anymore. So I just pushed my data and Kiki, but I'm always shocked. Like people just, they would send me either messages or they had tagged me or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you was, watching trading or stuff like that. And so, some people, they just love the consistency. They love like, man, you still doing this? And at this point, I'm like, I'm not doing this for me no more. I've mastered trade. I don't have to teach this stuff. I don't have to talk about trading anymore. But it's so exciting to see the testimonials and people say, I've made this, or I've learned this, but now they can help their family create financial freedom. So understand that your consistency can also be passed on to somebody else, guys. So don't give up. Don't grow weary. And always welcome conflict. All right. Y'all put welcome conflict in the chat box. Always welcome conflict. Be prepared for it. Don't be fearful of it, because if you're fearful, then you're saying, well, I don't reside on my faith. I reside with the enemy, right? And the enemy, which is just what you're telling yourself. So welcome conflict. Understand how to welcome conflict. Understand you can't just study math, science, and history. You gotta study your emotional state. You gotta study emotional intelligence. You gotta study how your brain works, how your body reacts, how your body responds. And once you get this level of awareness for these things, you're gonna begin to start having responses totally different, right? I respond so different now because I'm like, bro, that's gonna make me grow some gray hair. Or I'm just like, I just be thinking about stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get a headache. I just don't want to allow myself to stoop to that level when it comes to different types of people and stuff. And you just remember, something is always going to be battling for your attention, and it's either going to be your goals or it's going to be your distractions. You have to know what your distractions are. And if you're really serious about your goals, you're going to have a conversation with people around you. That's your coworkers, your family members, your spouse, your partner, whoever, wife, husband, and say, listen, this is what I want to do. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm headed. And I need your help. Meaning that they're going to respect your time. They're going to be supportive. They're not going to sit there and have a 30-minute conversation about garbage and trash on the news or something that they saw on social media. You got to schedule that social life. You got to schedule those things until you are living that life that you truly want to live, right? Like, one thing about living a free life is you got to really lock in on your day-to-day activity, because with most people, you know, I used to wake up and go to a 9 to 5. And so they took majority of my day. But now it's like, okay, I got to really guide myself. I got to direct myself and really not allow my time to be wasted. Yeah, you guys can learn different skill sets and different avenues to set you away from the 95%, and so that you have more time. But you got to make sure you are prepared. Remember, earlier on the call, I said, when you reach your goal, what is the first thing you're doing after you achieve that goal? All right. So if we give you the car, if we give you the good credit, if we give you the great relationships, the great communication, what is the first thing you're going to do with the goal that you have achieved? Right. You have to know what that is, because otherwise just having a free life is not enough. You got to go make an impact. You can go travel and have fun, but you're going to feel some type of void missing. I promise y'all. All right. So make sure you're prepared. Once you achieve your goal, make sure you know what you're doing once the goal is achieved. That's the window that you want to understand and conquer. All right. And last but not least, in the space as you're pursuing your goals and your dreams, I want you always to speak life to yourself. Always speak up to yourself. Identify your language. Identify negative words. Identify like for me, there's still things I'm still growing out of, which is I used to listen to, I'm a millennial. So I listened to all the trap music and all that stuff growing up. And it's so embedded in my subconscious mind. And so I'm still trying to get out of saying certain words and stuff like that. It's so embedded in my subconscious mind. And so I tell people all the time, when you can become aware that that is even happening, you can begin to change your language. You can begin to change the things that you listen to. So for instance, Future dropped the album. I started listening to his album a little bit. It just made me cringe. I couldn't even get through the album because it was so much language and just downgrading women. It's just so much that I can't even listen to it, because I'm too now in a higher vibration. Like, yeah, it got to stimulate my mind. Like, I still listen to hip hop and rap and stuff like that, but it can't be that ignorant. You know what I'm saying? If y'all listen to Future, ain't nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, when you listen to stuff enough, it'll start becoming a part of your language and a part of your subconscious mind. So if you're not good at speaking well to yourself, if you're always like, I don't know if I can do it, I don't know if I have the time, I'm too tired, I'm too exhausted, I don't have the money, I don't have the experience, I don't have the credit, I can't. If that is a part of your language, you got to start listening to information and starting to speak different things that you can start overriding the language that you used to speak. You take the bad root and you plant a new seed. So I pray that you guys have an awareness of how you speak to yourself, because the conversations you have with yourself is the most important conversation of all. And it doesn't matter what people say. People can only hurt your feelings if you believe what they're saying. Like, I just laugh at people because I'm like, bro, that don't mean nothing to me. Right. So you have to get to a place where you know who you are, know your identity, and also be aware of what you're speaking to yourself, so that you make sure that you're not your own enemy. Okay. Because that's what people are missing. Oh, she said this about me. He said that about me. But ultimately, if it hurt you, most of the time you're probably saying it about yourself. All right. And you got to be aware that you're even having those thoughts. All right. Y'all ever been in the middle of like either cooking or cleaning, just something that you're just completely focused on, and you're like, oh shoot, I forgot to do the laundry. Or you're on the way to work, oh shoot, I forgot to do this. Like these random thoughts start flowing in your mind. And so that's your subconscious mind working. So you got to be able to gauge that level of thinking. Your conscious mind and subconscious mind got to start being on one accord, because just because you're thinking does not mean you're progressing. Okay. Please don't know that just because you're thinking doesn't mean you're progressing. And then a lot of people think they're thinking and they're not. There's conscious thoughts, there's subconscious thoughts. All right. Two totally different behaviors, two totally different worlds. But if they touch and agree, then you're going to be on track towards your goals. You can't contradict your so like for instance, for me, well, I'm not in that boat anymore, but I used to battle with, oh man, I'm gonna lose weight. I do good for 30 days, 60 days, or I'm just, back on my fitness journey because I'm very athletic. And then I may take a trip for a week or something like that, and I just come back trying to reset. And the thing is, I consciously told myself I'm going to be in the best shape of my life, but subconsciously, that is not my identity yet. Your identity is what you do without thinking. Okay. Your identity is the things that you do without thinking. So that's why I tell people all the time, you can't just make a verbal commitment. You can't just say it out your mouth. You have to you have to literally sit down, buy a calendar, set your alarms, make an entirely new routine so that your subconsciously, your identity can change. So if you want to wake up and lose weight, you're getting up at a certain time every single day for 63 days straight. Why 63? Because it takes 63 days before your brain starts to create new cells, new memory cells. 21-day cycles, 63 days straight. So if you find yourself stopping and starting, it's because you haven't reached the 63-day mark yet. Okay. So remember that who you are consciously and who you are subconsciously can be two different people. And you have to be aware of, what do you do? Like me, I make my bed every day. I don't even feel right if that bed ain't made, but there's somebody else who don't make that bed every day. That's their identity. So then they say, you know what? I'm starting making my bed every day. And they set a goal. They never put it in a routine. They just made it a goal. They said it out loud verbally. They did it for good 3 days, good 5 days. And then guess what? They go back to not making their bed because they didn't make it a part of their process. They didn't set an alarm. They didn't make a commitment. And that's what you have to be able to identify through your journey. All right. You have to be able to identify, what are you thinking? What are you speaking to yourself? Be mindful of your environment. Be mindful of the things that are not adding value to you, and just focus on your cotton picking goals, y'all. Focus on your dreams and goals. It's so fulfilling. Like, you get so much more confidence. Y'all ever had a checklist and check something off and it made you feel good? Yes or no in the check box. It can be any kind of checklist, whether you had to pay something, whether you had to some responsibilities, some tasks, maybe you was planning a trip. But when you begin to check things off, it builds your confidence. All right. So I'm always making lists. Like, I'm a list addict. All right. I have lists all over the place. I don't know if you guys can see. Well, you probably can see I got the light off over there. But I'm a list addict. Like, I make lists all the time because I love them. When that pen strike through it, here it is. When the pen strike through it, it's an amazing feeling. I just went and bought this notebook from Dollar Tree Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. And I said, I need a new book. It's time to strike some new goals off, right? This amazing luxury place that I'm living in was once on my checklist. I had pictures of it in my room, on my walls. I had pictures of the entire place, and I had a reflection today. I was going through my other phone. I got two phones. I was going through my other phone, and I was like, oh my goodness. You know how with iPhone, they always bring up like your throwback memories and stuff like that. And I used to drive to this place every Sunday after church. They were still building it. It was still dirt and bricks, and it didn't have a lot of aesthetics yet, but I would always drive by and I say, God, thank you so much for my new luxury home. I'm so happy and grateful. I did it every single Sunday. And when I applied for it, because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm self-employed, I don't pay myself a lot of money because you get taxed more when you make more. So I run all my expenses through my business. So when I'm traveling, when I'm eating, when I'm hosting classes, seminars, clothes, I can literally do everything through my business account. So I had to, long story short, I had to start paying myself more money so I could qualify to move in and put myself on a bigger payroll. And so like the last pay period, I was like, I don't know. I think I was like $75 short for the application. And I'm like, bro, y'all see I make the money, like, just come on here, you know? And so I was like, you know what, God, this is, you sent me here because I was looking at a whole nother place. I said, God, if this is for me, let your will be done. And lo and behold, it called me. I screamed, I jumped, and I ran all over the place because this place is absolutely amazing. But it was once a goal. I had to prepare for it. I saw it. I spoke it every day. And I physically had an interaction with it. And even though days I couldn't make it, I would sit and I would meditate. I would look at a picture of it on my phone. I would look at pictures of it around my house. And I'm saying, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm living in my new luxury home. So whatever you want, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to figure out how to create the physical sensation for it. All right. You need to create the physical experience. Use your imagination. Remember, if somebody can create fear and sweat and cry thinking about riding on an airplane, then imagine if you use that same power, that same supernatural power towards manifesting your goals and dreams. All right. And don't speak. You can't operate in a space of, I hope I get it. That's what separates the believers from non-believers. I don't hope I get anything. I know I have everything that I want. Like with 100,000% confidence, I know I got every single thing that I want. And that's what separates a lot of these successful people from the non-successful. It because I'm not hoping that I get, what do I want next? I'm not hoping that I get 100 customers in a day at Kiki Academy, right? I'm not hoping that I know how to read music. I'm not hoping none of that stuff. I know that it's a fact. It's a done. Why? I know who I am. I know my thoughts. I know my language. I know my environment. I've cultivated and curated my environment for success. I curated myself to be around mentors and people who make more money than me, who know more, who know more than me, and most of all, they love God. I've curated a success environment, a thinking environment. I don't spend a lot of time talking to people who are not where I want to be. Like, you got to really stick to that stuff. And it's not to be disrespectful, but it has worked for me to get to where I want to go. And my goals far exceed me. I got my family and so much that I want to do. So I got to stay the course. Somebody dropped stay the course in the chat box, right? So curate your environment and protect it. All right. Protect it, protect it, protect it, protect it, so that you can get to where you want to go. And then you can be that superstar for your family, for you can be that superstar for your last name, y'all. Like, enjoy this life. Like, life is amazing. I tell people all the time, the reason you're probably not happy is because you're choosing to be lazy. Like, I promise you 1,000% of the time, it's either you poor with scheduling, all right, you're lazy, or you just thinking of 50 million excuses. I tell people, let me tell you every single thing you need to do. If you listen to it, in the next 3 to 6 months, your life will be completely different. You have to stay the course, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So go after what you want, curate that environment, analyze your environment. We got these next 6 months in this year. Go after what you want and don't focus on the time it takes. This is the only life you have. I play the drums. I play for a lot of funerals. And when I tell you, you can be snapped up out of this world any kind of way. All right. I played for it's a lady in my church right now. She just turned 109 on Sunday. She rides her bikes in the morning. She can still walk and drive, 109 years old. All right. But then there was a young lady that I just played a funeral for not too long ago. She woke up with pancreatic cancer, and 30 days later, she was gone. All right. So you have to understand, stop taking life lightly. That's what, stop taking your success and your goals lightly. Who gives a flying fish what people think? You cannot allow somebody who don't even chase goals to dictate and validate what you're trying to do. I don't listen to nobody but God. Y'all don't listen to nobody. All right. I may ask my mom for advice. My grandma, rest her soul, I still talk to her. There's only a few people that I listen to, but ultimately my directions and my instruction, my guidance comes from God. But you have to cultivate the relationship. It can't just be a weekly call. It can't just be when you go to church or whatever your belief system is, whatever it is that you believe. You have to build your own relationship. You got to date your belief. All right. Get the books, the audio, study, and begin to welcome conflict. All right. But let's get every single thing that we said we're going to do. Don't take living lightly. Go out there, be bold. All right. Go out there and get every single thing that you want. And remember to curate and protect your success environment, your thinking, and your feelings and your emotions. All right. I love you guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in on tonight. I'm about to get back to all this nerdy stuff I'm doing over here. If y'all got some value on tonight, drop something in the chat box. All right. Drop something in the chat box and our hashtag tonight. All right. So let me show y'all something. We have a generational wealth community chat. It is strictly for faith and growth. All right. We don't talk about nothing else in here. All right. So you come in here. This is what we focus on: spiritual, emotional, financial, and physical wealth. Okay. But I'm gonna send y'all this link. And when y'all get this link, I want y'all to come in here and hashtag. What's our hashtag tonight, y'all? I don't know what our hashtag is tonight. Y'all got a hashtag based off our call. We say new levels of adversity. I like that one. New levels of adversity. Okay, that's the link for the chat, guys. You guys can go in there. You know what? Adversity. I was supposed to end this call, but you know what? Adversity begins to I don't know how to explain it. We got new levels of stay the course. Let's use both. All right. I'm gonna come back on that one. This will be our next call because I got something to talk about on that new levels of adversity. But stay the course. So y'all go to the Telegram chat, hashtag stay the course, drop your favorite GIF about staying the course. And I pray that y'all stay the course because remember, don't take life lightly. You got what it takes, y'all. Just don't spend so much time in the negative thinking and the excuses. Like get away from people who are not positive. Like I am so big on that, bro. If you don't have faith, I can't have you in my phone. We can't have a conversation, and you can't just talk it. You got to live it. All right. I look at people who I go to drums and I play them drums at church. I see people whose faith is just completely diminished and shattered, or they never even built it. And they just sit there. I'm like, how are y'all not excited and enthusiastic about going out here and attacking the next new thing? Guys, when you stop checking off your checklist, your confidence starts to start going mundane. Whatever you don't use, you lose. Your confidence your checklist don't have to be something so crazy and big. All right. It could be just making your bed in the morning. That's going to make you feel good. That could be walking 5 minutes in the morning. That's going to make you feel good. That could be reading one paragraph a day. It's going to start making you feel good. Do things that make you feel good. All right. Don't overcommit. Just do just enough so you can start feeling good. That's another hashtag. Start feeling good. The biggest thing you can focus on is how to feel good. That's all I'm obsessed with. How do I feel good? Eating better makes me feel good. Working out makes me feel good. Having healthy and stimulating conversations makes me feel good. Achieving my goals makes me feel good. Focusing and not touching my phone all day makes me feel good. I don't have to be on social media. I am literally only on social media to promote my business, right? I feel good. I feel freaking, my life is freaking perfect, y'all. I didn't even know I could say those words. I'm always saying I'm amazing. I'm absolute, but my life is perfect. Like for real. I love everything about my life. I don't even know. I'm so grateful. Why? Because I stayed the course and it's getting better. All right. So let your life get better. Let's get it. I love y'all. Have a blessed night. Hashtag stay the course and feel good. All right. Y'all have a wonderful night. I will see y'all next week.